Again, I don't want to be played by the Chiefs or the Royals.
This morning on Inside Kansas Politics, Kansas could be one step closer to getting the Chiefs or Royals to cross over. What's next for lawmakers as both teams are weighing their options? Plus,
I have just gotten to the point that Kansas being the high tax point on the prairie is just too much.
Charlotte O'Hara entering a stacked Republican primary. She makes a run for Kansas governor, where she stands on education, taxes, and more. And
the reality is we are seeing levels of food insecurity higher than we've seen in the last decade.
But first, tensions are rising with cuts to SNAP on Capitol Hill. Now some Kansans are speaking out against it, why they're pushing back. That's where we begin this morning. SNAP uses federal dollars to help thousands of Kansans feed their families, and now that is in jeopardy as Republicans make cuts to SNAP in D.C. You're taking a look inside Kansas politics. Welcome in. I'm Rebecca Chung.
And I'm Rob Hughes. Glad you're here. Some outrage over this move. The governor joined other Democratic leaders in a call this week. She pointed out nearly 200,000 Kansans rely on SNAP. She says proposed cuts to SNAP would hurt Kansas farmers and that the state cannot afford to backfill this loss in federal resources with state resources.
The governor says the state's administrative cost would be $15 million per year, and that's a conservative estimate. Regarding the bill's work requirements, Governor Kelly says people receiving SNAP are not just getting handouts.
These are people with disabilities. These are children. These are elderly. These are veterans. These are not people who are sitting at home in their basement, playing video games. These are people who are really in dire need. I'm very concerned about, not only the money that this is going to cost, but also the chaos that it's going to create for so many people who will just end up giving up and going hungry.
Republicans argue that SNAP benefits can create dependency on government assistance and may not directly address the main causes of poverty and food insecurity. Well, these are reasons behind work requirements.
And just a quick snapshot of some of the changes being made here. Republicans, they're trying to reduce the federal spending on the program, so that means reducing future benefit increases and changing eligibility criteria. They're also expanding work requirements for the program to extend it to older adults and parents of older children. Then they're looking at or having those changes made to shoulder more of the costs for states for this program, which means we could strain some of those state budgets, Rob.
Yeah, I spoke with the president and CEO of Harvesters. Yeah, Rebecca, Stephen Davis. He says he's deeply concerned. He says that if the big beautiful bill were to pass, which as of Thursday, July 3rd, it has. We interviewed before this had happened, but he talks about how it according to him, would eradicate 50 years of SNAP benefits to help the most vulnerable in the communities to qualify for these benefits. We started our discussion by doing a deep dive of the current state of food insecurity, and Mr. Davis painted a picture for us of the type of people that SNAP and Harvesters serve, and also the situations that they might find themselves in.
The reality is we are seeing levels of food insecurity higher than we've seen in the last decade, which is a surprise to a lot of people. You think about the last decade, you think about the pandemic, you think about prior to the pandemic and all the things that were going on. And the reality is in our service area, there's 375,000 people that are food insecure, which is a big number. It's 1 in 7 people. 1 in 7 people, when you're out and about and you're walking around, that's how many people are food insecure across our entire region. And actually, I looked at the numbers just before I came. In Shawnee County, it's also 1 in 7 people. It's a little over 25,000 people that are food insecure here where we're filming today. And so that's really true across our entire service area. Most of the individuals that are food insecure are working. They struggle to make ends meet. And so it could be any little thing that puts them in a position where they just don't have enough to make it through the month and need a little bit of help. And so it could be that an unexpected health care bill comes up. It could be medication. It could be a car repair. It could be their rent went up unexpectedly. And so all of a sudden they find themselves where they just can't stretch their budget enough to cover their cost. Or you might be a senior living on a fixed income, and you have a certain amount every month, and then certain unexpected costs come your way, and you just cannot fill that entire gap. And so often then you're turning to the charitable food system for those stopgap helps that you might need.
Wow, 1 in 7 people, that's a really big number, like you said. And Rob, what's next for Harvesters when it comes to SNAP cuts coming down?
Well, they said with the passage of the big beautiful bill, now of course waiting the president's signature, they want to reassure people, especially SNAP recipients, those who rely on Harvesters, not going away. but they are going to have to pivot. And Mr. Davis has extensive background in business and nonprofit, and just like a business has to adapt to save government regulation, that's what they're going to do. They rely on partners, they rely on churches, they rely on other food banks as well that they partner with, perhaps donors as well. But they did want to emphasize that they're still going to take care of people to the best of their ability. They're not going anywhere, but now certainly they are going to have to adapt and try and utilize try and fill in the resources now they perhaps are not going to be getting from the federal government, because this is all very new. But they certainly are going to continue the mission. But yeah, those are questions, Rebecca, that definitely I'm sure Mr. Davis, the CEO there, and his team is working on as we speak to figure that out. He did want to reemphasize, of course, you have to qualify for SNAP, and we didn't really get into the politics of it. We just stuck to the operational standpoint of the harvesters and how it impacts them and their mission. But he did want to continuously reemphasize, like he did in earlier there, is that their recipients are disabled, elderly, children, people on fixed incomes, elderly, retired folks who need it. Those are primarily the people that they serve who need this and rely on it. So certainly a lot more to come there. But finally in our discussion, Rebecca, Mr. Davis, he gives his thoughts on why he says SNAP is effective to help families in need who qualify for the assistance, and he then concludes with his concerns about the long-term impacts now these funding cuts are going to create. It is important to note, though, as we've continuously said, Rebecca, he wants to reassure those who support and rely on harvesters that their mission is going to continue no matter what happens now.
SNAP is an incredible economic-based program. For every dollar that a recipient gets in SNAP, it produces about $1.80 in economic impact, because those dollars are spent locally in the local community, in the local grocery store. It's employing somebody, multiple people that work in that grocery store. It's supporting the food industry that's bringing those groceries into that grocery store. And so not only is it a good hunger relief program, but it's also a good economic program as far as how those dollars get spent locally in the local community. We are deeply concerned if this were to pass and this legislation were to go into effect, this would eradicate 50 years of work that's been done to make sure that anybody who is in need, and this is a temporary program, it's a short-term program, it's a temporary program by design for families that qualify for it. A lot of compliance in place to make sure you can qualify for this program. It's honestly, it's a little scary to me for the work we do at the levels of food insecurity we would see if this were to pass. We're wanting to make sure people really understand what the impact of this bill could be, what the impact would be to the state if this were to pass, states if this were to pass. And so if this is important to you, we're certainly encouraging you to reach out to your local congressperson as well as your senators, and make sure that they know that this is an important issue to you that you hope that they continue to fund. That's an important thing, is to make sure that your elected officials at the federal level know how important this is to you. Harvesters is going to continue to exist to do the work we do. This is important work. We do help individuals be aware of SNAP, and we'll help them navigate the SNAP application. But our work is collecting food and distributing food, and we are going to continue to do that regardless of what happens with this legislation.
You know, we love to watch the games, but for them it is business. And so they're going to try to pursue the best deal they can get.
After the break, will Kansas scoop and score the Chiefs or Royals to their side of the state line?
The very latest on negotiations and what's next for lawmakers. We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Kim Briggs at Briggs Auto Group. At Briggs, we have over 570 vehicles purchased or traded for in the USA, tariff-free. That's right, save big with homegrown American-sourced vehicles. Cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock and ready for delivery. We got something for every budget and every driver. Shop now online at BriggsAuto.com for our certified in America tariff-free event going on now at all Briggs locations.
Hey, look what's going on at Briggs Auto. Briggs!
For over 75 years, we've been serving loyal customers and have been a trusted name in the automotive industry. Performance Tire and Auto is here for you.
Whether you're looking at high-performance tires for the best ride or budget-friendly all-season tires, we're here for you.
We have 2 convenient locations, well-trained technicians, and service staff that genuinely want to help you take care of your vehicle. Performance Tire and Auto is here for you.
Honesty and transparency is our #1 goal. Trust Performance Tire and Auto and experience the difference. We're here for you.
Every child deserves to eat every day, but some kids in Topeka only eat on school days. I'm Marianne Kramer with Project Topeka. We're partnering with KSNT, Lewis Toyota, and Hy-Vee to make sure kids eat on weekends too. You can help by purchasing a Weekend Grub Club bag the next time you shop at Hy-Vee. These items are priced at Hy-Vee's cost, so a $5 bag feeds a kid for the weekend during the summer, and a $10 bag feeds 2 kids. Please support the Weekend Grub Club for Topeka kids.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. Well, Rob, I just wanted to just make this point real quick. This is the talk of the town. The Chiefs possibly coming to Kansas. It could be, a great move for the state. I was able to kind of just see where we are now, where negotiations stand, and that's what we kind of dive into. Has the state made an offer to the Chiefs or the Royals to get them to come over to Kansas, and how much?
No.
No, not at all?
No, and nothing.
That was 2023, but we've come a long way since then. Kansas now ready to scoop and score a major pro sports team. Initially, it looked like Kansas would keep their June 30th deadline for the Chiefs or Royals to strike a deal. But it looks like the Chiefs are now stepping in to get Kansas's deal extended. Chiefs President Mark Donovan sending a letter to Kansas lawmakers saying in part, "We have made significant progress on the core deal components, including the stadium, headquarters, practice facility, and surrounding development. But they need more time to make it come to, quote, full fruition." He goes on to say, "We believe this project could mark the start of a defining new chapter for both Kansas and the Chiefs." Now, Kansas Senate President Ty Masterson says a panel of lawmakers will be meeting July 7th at 2 p.m. to extend Kansas's Star Bonds deal. Earlier this year, I asked the governor how far the state is willing to go to invest in a pro sports team. Prudent? Can you expand a little bit on that? What do you think? Are you thinking number-wise or?
Like with anything, I need to make sure that if we're going to invest taxpayer dollars, that we're going to get a good return.
In his letter, Donovan says they haven't heard back from the administration for 6 weeks, but they're circling back hoping to pick up negotiations and move their plans forward. When we asked the state why negotiations stalled, the lieutenant governor said it's complex. A Kansas City Royals affiliate also making a move to buy the former Sprint campus in Overland Park just last month, a sign the team could potentially cross over in the future. Now, keep in mind, Kansas is offering to pay up to 70% of the cost for a new stadium. This would be paid for using sales tax revenue within the stadium district, so that includes taxes on things like food and alcohol. Meanwhile, Missouri is offering to cover up to 50% of the cost of a new stadium, plus up to $50 million in tax credits and unspecified aid from local governments. So it looks like we'll have to see where the teams end up. With Kansas planning to extend its offer, it would give both teams at least another year to make a decision. For now, reporting in Topeka, I'm Rebecca Chung. And that letter was key there. I mean, did you see that? Marking or defining a new chapter for both the Kansas and the Chiefs, for both Kansas and the Chiefs. And I think that is just signaling that they could really eyeing Kansas as a real prospect for them. I think before it was a bit up in the air. Will they cross over? Will they not? Could they stay in Missouri, which seemed like the likely move for them? But I think now Kansas has a real shot.
I mean, maybe we can get both teams. How about
that? Yeah, both teams. Yeah,
because that's a possibility. Like when I talked to Senator Masterson, that is a possibility. So who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, Rebecca. When we come back, we're hearing from Charlotte O'Hara, one of the latest Republicans running for governor next year. Where she stands on some of the state's top issues. We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Grace Med Health Clinic is your home for complete, compassionate care. From medical visits to vision screenings, dental care, behavioral health support, and a fully equipped pharmacy, we're here to meet all your health needs. Our dedicated team of providers and staff work together to make every visit welcoming and stress-free. Because at Grace Med, you're not just a patient, you're part of our family. Call 785-861-8800 to schedule your appointment. Grace Med Health Clinic, compassionate care for all.
Hi folks, Rodney and Eric Robertson from Window Design and Remodeling, where we build to last a lifetime.
We now offer the Fortress Evolution steel framing system that won't rot or warp and comes with a 25-year warranty.
Finished with Envision composite decking and aluminum railings, such style and comfort, the summer months never look so good.
Call today or stop by our showroom and receive $1,500 off your Fortress and Envision deck project. Window Design and Remodeling, we are your home remodeling specialist.
Start your week off with a pie. Fox 43 AM Live and Perkins in Topeka are giving away a delicious pie every Monday to a lucky winner. Sign up for your chance to win at KSNT.com. Sweet Rewards Monday, sponsored by Perkins Restaurant and Bakery.
This Saturday,
it's time for Xfinity action on the CW.
Road course mayhem.
A lot of contact.
And full throttle.
Off we go. That's Sonoma.
The scramble for the remaining playoff spots
All right, let's have some fun, man.
heats up in Sonoma.
He just has to win. Oh, we got a crash! Oh, yeah, I love you guys!
The NASCAR Xfinity Series, this Saturday live at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, only on the CW.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. Turning now to the road to 2026. The race for governor is heating up.
Yeah, I spoke with Charlotte O'Hara, and now she's been very active in Johnson County politics for almost 2 decades, Rebecca, and she says that Kansas needs an experienced politician with a business background. But she does call the Sunflower State. She kept saying that the high tax point on the prairie. Here we focus on her thoughts on taxes, also corporate welfare, small business challenges, and education. Joined now by Charlotte O'Hara, running for as a Republican for Kansas governor.
Yes, Republican for Kansas governor. Yes.
Thank you so much,
thank
Charlotte, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. This is a great privilege to come on and have an opportunity to talk to the folks in the state of Kansas. Probably a lot of people do know me because I was in the State House in 2011 and 2012. I was on the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners for 4 years. I went into office in January of 2021 in the middle of the COVID craziness. And so I served until January of this year, and then I decided to run for governor.
Tell me why. Why did you decide to run for governor?
Well, I have been involved in the Republican Party for a long time. Actually, in about 2008, I was the 3rd District Chair for the Republican Party. And so I have been very involved in politics, and specifically the Republican Party, for years. And I have just gotten to the point that Kansas being the high tax point on the prairie is just too much. And we've got to have a good, solid conservative that has business background, political background, to come in and actually say, this is the plan that we can bring Kansas out of these doldrums of losing population and having such heavy burden in our taxes, especially property taxes.
I was actually going to ask that. Yeah, as you know, that was a hot topic issue in this last session, property taxes.
Yes, absolutely. This has been problematic for years and years. Actually, this goes back to 1986 when we passed the constitutional amendment for reclassification and equalization. And at the same time, one was passed in the primary, one was passed in the general. The other one was the economic constitutional amendment, which wide open the doors for all of these tax incentives, corporate giveaway, that's really crippling us. And one of the reasons that our property taxes have gotten so high, because there's been a shift in the burden. Actually, as we were told in 1986 that this was going to shift more of the burden to commercial and industrial, well, it's actually been just the opposite. Because in 1988, prior to the implementation of the new constitutional amendment, the burden on residential was 47%. It is now 70%. So on the commercial industrial side, it's also has gone up. It's gone from 20% to 26%, but the residential side has increased 63% more than the commercial industrial. Now, I own industrial buildings, and I am here to tell you that small businesses are struggling because the commercial industrial are assessed at 25% and residential is assessed at 11.5%. So small businesses are really struggling. However, the hole in the boat is these millions and millions and millions, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that's being diverted from public coffers into the pockets of big developers and real estate owners. An example, in Johnson County in 2024, we diverted $108 million from public coffers to the pockets of big developers and property owners in property taxes alone. That does not include sales tax. In 1 year. And there is no accounting across the state as to what all of these corporate giveaways are costing us. We have no idea. And that is extremely problematic.
What else? Tell me the other issues that you
So
want to
we
tackle as
have
governor.
property taxes and corporate welfare, and then education. So my background, I actually have a degree in education. But actually, I was raised on a farm, and I wanted to take over the farm. And my dad said no, so I went to college and got my education degree, and then I got out and I became a general contractor. And so I've built several homes over the years in Johnson County. I've been out of that since the early 2000s. Fortunately, I wasn't in it during the 2008 real estate massacre that was devastating. So I have a solid business background. And like I said, I do own industrial buildings, a couple of small industrial buildings. And my son and I, we own a manufacturing company in Olathe. And I have 5 kids, 7 grandkids, 2 dogs. You only know about one of my dogs. 2 dogs and a horse.
Okay, big family. I love it.
Yeah. Yes, we're busy. We're very busy.
All right, more from that interview after the break.
And we'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
I'm so glad I called Devon James. I really just needed somebody to look out for me that knew what they were doing. Because yeah, my husband can call and yell at the insurance company, but it's not gonna get anywhere. Car accidents, especially when you're injured, there's like medical bills just add up like crazy. And when you have Devon James, you know that they're gonna take care of it. So they really made things easy to where it wasn't an added hassle by having them, it was just an added bonus. I'm Brittany and I'm an actual client of Devon James.
Looking for salon quality hair products without the salon price? At Beauty Supply Club, you'll find the brands you love up to 30% off every day. No license needed, open to the public. Locally owned right here in Topeka. Your home for beauty and savings.
Every child deserves to eat every day, but some kids in Topeka only eat on school days. This is Andy Batliner with Hy-Vee. We're partnering with KSNT, Project Topeka, and Lewis Toyota to make sure kids get the calories and nutrition they need on weekends too. You can help by purchasing a weekend Grub Club bag the next time you shop at Hy-Vee. These items are priced at Hy-Vee's cost, so a $5 bag feeds a kid for the weekend during the summer. A $10 bag feeds 2 kids. Please support the Weekend Grub Club for Topeka kids.
Next, Kelly, Eric McCormick. Well, your new show has, first of all, the greatest title ever, 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue.
Although some people, they hear it, they go, that's hilarious. No, it's a thriller.
Monday at 3 on 27 KSNT.
The scramble for the remaining playoff spots heats up in Sonoma.
Oh, we got a crash! Oh, yeah, I love you guys!
The NASCAR Xfinity Series, this Saturday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on the CW.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. We continue our one-on-one sit-down interview with Charlotte O'Hara, Republican and 2026 Kansas gubernatorial candidate.
And here, Ms. O'Hara talks about education performance and results, and then she also continues her discussion on tax incentives as well as corporate welfare, subsidies, and also touches on star bonds and, of course, the efforts to get the Chiefs and Royals across the state line. We talked about taxes, property taxes, education.
Yes, education.
Ms. O'Hara, what else do you want to talk about? What else do you want the voters to
Well,
know?
I think that we need to go back to education because, unfortunately, we are seeing such horrible results from our education system. What is the problem? And I talked to a lot of my friends in the legislature because of my many contacts, and a lot of them, when I talk to them at public forums, they go, "Oh, Charlotte, there's just nothing we can do about, those teachers unions. We can," and I just feel like saying, go to the corner, and when you can come back and have something positive to say and how we're going to work our way out of this, But when you look at the scores, and in 2023, Blue Valley High School, where some of my grandchildren have graduated from. In 2023, 58% weren't proficient in math, 53% weren't proficient in reading. I mean, if you're not beyond the first 2 levels, you're not proficient. And this is extremely problematic. So we just have to come to the table and say, how are we going to fix this? We're spending $19,000 per student. and we're not getting the return on our investment, and we are cheating our children. So like I said, I have a degree in education, but I also homeschooled, loved homeschooling, and learning is a natural response of children to the environment. So I have to say, what are we doing to our kids?
I think Blue Valley is, the top ranked district in the state, so that just kind of magnifies it.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, when you go to the state assessment site, you will be sick to see. It's like the old bell curve doesn't even exist anymore. It's just an avalanche of failure. And that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And some people go, well, school choice is the answer. Well, okay, so you're going to help a certain percentage of kids and then you're just going to leave the rest in a failing system? That's not an answer. And besides, when you take state dollars, control follows. Just ask Harvard if they think that if they took federal dollars all those years and they didn't have to pay the piper until now. He who owns the gold has control.
Right, golden rule, person with the gold makes the rules, right?
Yes, he who has the gold makes the rules, exactly.
All right, so got a few more minutes, just
sure.
So you know. We've talked about taxes, which are very important, as we know, to the voters, to Kansans, education, of course, as well. And what else are you running on? What other problems do you want to fix as governor or address as governor?
Well, I mean, we have so many issues in the state of Kansas, and like I said, Kansas being the high tax point on the prairie is extremely problematic. And I'll just give you a couple of stats. In Missouri, the percent to value is 0.82. That is what it costs for your annual property taxes. In Kansas, it's 1.26%. That's 50% higher. Oklahoma is 0.75. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable that our property tax burden is so much higher. And having that, I mean, especially people on fixed incomes.
You're taxed out of your own home.
Yeah, you're being taxed out of your own home. And honestly, you work your whole adult life, you pay off your mortgage, and then you can't afford your home? I mean, that's ridiculous. And to be just handing out all of these incentives and saying that that's what we have to do to bring people to Kansas, why are we having to incentivize people to come to Kansas? Because our taxes are too high. And so after the subsidies run out, what are you going to do? Renew them? They're going to move on? I mean, Sprint left, they went belly up or sold out. Boeing left Wichita. Now we have the big deal in Johnson County, Panasonic, that we put in $829 million of state money, and there's $200 million of local money, plus $15 million from the county. Plus, they've got another $6 billion that they can get from the federal government. $8 billion for one company. Do you know that that's $2 million per job?
Whoa. Wakes me up.
And then, of course, the big border war controversy right now is the Chiefs and the Royals. And in June of 2024, our state legislature passed a new star bond deal just for the Chiefs and the Royals, which went from 50% of the sales tax generated within their star bond district. And I want to remind people that it's not just the stadiums, but it's all of the bars and the retail. And actually, under this plan, they can re-star bond businesses in the Legends, which is in Wyandotte County. They paid that off, but this allows them to go and harvest sales tax dollars from an area that has been in a previous star bond district. I mean, it's ridiculous. And for the Republican Party to be doing this, come on, the free market works.
And that was your look inside Kansas politics.
We will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a wonderful day.